everybody. Good to see you today. I'm glad you're here. And we have Jackson. This is Jackson. Are you going to say hi?
Hi.
Hi. Oh, he's a very small voice there. And
Hi, I'm Woody.
and Woody. Woody.
Woody the Woodpecker.
I'm the fastest horse in Kansas.
Fastest horse in Kansas. Do you
I
think
can
you can?
outrun you, Jackson.
He thinks he can outrun everybody.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
So you got a tall tail?
Do you have a tall tail? I have a tall tail. It's about the first cowboy that ever happened. Oh, my great grandma. She was out there. Oh, she was one of those rabbits. Yeah, there's lots of rabbits in the West, and that's true. He was down in New Mexico and Texas and around in there. Yeah, that's down in the Southwest. We were telling stories in the Southeast. This one is in the Southwest. Woody, what have you ever heard of? Widowmaker?
The Widowmaker?
The Widowmaker. You know, a widow is a lady whose husband has died. And that horse was called Widowmaker.
That horse is mean.
That's trouble. That's trouble.
He's gotten rid of a lot of cowboys.
Well, Pecos Bill knew how to tame him. Really?
Really?
You know how Pecos Bill started?
How?
He started out being number 17 out of other 16 brothers and sisters. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. I think I'll tell the story. Okay. He told me to tell the story. And Pecos Bill had 17 brothers and sisters. He was his number 17. And he was the littlest one. He was just a toddler. And they're on a wagon. And they're in a big bumpy dirt road going down the roads, you know, and to the town. And all the kids are piled in that wagon. He's on the end. And it's bumping so hard. Woody, you know what happened? He just bumped right out of the wagon. And he's just a little toddler, and there's so many of them, they didn't miss him. And he's sitting there. Now, this is years and years, 100 years ago or more. You know, he's sitting there. He's just sitting there. He's just a little toddler boy. And along comes the coyotes. And they sniff him, and they see that he's just little. Well, you know what? He started growing up with the coyotes. Well, he learned how to run. And as he got bigger and bigger, he taught himself to catch himself a snake and whip it around so long and make a little loop on it that he could lasso himself up an armadillo to eat or something, rabbit or something to eat, you know. And he would look around and see that he didn't look like those coyotes. He looked different. And one day he was standing up on the hillside and he looks down and he sees another creature down there. Looks just like him. He's got these things over here, these, you know, what we call arms and legs. He's going, huh, what's that? That looks like me. Maybe I should meet that guy. Maybe I should meet him. So he found himself a mountain lion, and he started riding it down the trail and trying to find that guy. And when he finally wound himself down the mountain from where he lived all his life, he found these guys looked like him. And they're sitting around this fire. I mean, they're sitting around in a circle. And he says, you need to have a fire there. You know, and he came down there and taught them how to make that fire. And he said, now, if you're sitting around this fire, that's called a campfire, you need to sing some songs. So he taught those cowboys their first country western songs. My seat's in the saddle and my saddle's in the sky, and I'll be punching cows to the sweet by and by. Oh, they just had a great time singing country western songs. And they all had horses, and he didn't have any horse. And you remember the horse we asked you about at the beginning? What's the name of it?
Woody.
Widowmaker.
Widowmaker. This is Woody, and that's really good, close. And he's looking around, and he finds that horse out there, and he's just bucking and carrying on. And all the men say, you just leave him alone. We'll find some other wild stallion around here. He said, no, if that's the one that everybody's afraid of, that's the one I got. And he did it. He tamed Widowmaker. Nobody could believe it. He tamed Widowmaker, and he became such friends with his horse. They were riding around the prairies one time, and around the sagebrush and everywhere, and down in the arroyos and the gullies, and he's looking around. My seat's in the saddle, and my saddle's in the... He sees a creature he'd never seen before. It was a woman. in love like a woman. And he said, would you like to get married? She said, sure. And she had a big old dress on, like a big bell, and she had what they used to call was a bustle, and it kept their dresses out, sticking out there. And finally they did away with those, but back in those days she had that big old dress on. Well, she'd just ride behind him on Widowmaker, and they rode all over the royals and the plains and the dusty hills, and they're having a good old time. But one day a tornado comes up, and he's looking at that tornado, ripping up his rivers and ripping up his trees and ripping up his ground. This is my place. What do you think you're doing? He got himself his biggest rope he could find, made a big old loop in it, and lassoed that tornado. And he and Belle climbed right up there, and they're riding that tornado. They're riding that tornado. Well, Belle, she's got the hardest part of it, and she finally bounced right off, and she bounced, and she bounced, and she bounced, and she bounced, and she bounced. And today we have a lot of little hills all over our state, you know, that came from her bouncing around, kind of pushing up some mountains around Colorado and stuff. Well, she just bounced all over the place. And finally, he's riding that tornado clear over there to a place called California. And when he finally got over there, the tornado started dying out, and he just fell off too. When he landed, it made a big old valley. And today they call it the Death Valley, the lowest point in America. That's how we got some of our hills and some of our valleys, and how we got cowboys and country western and all that good stuff. You guys have been really good listeners, and thank you very much. Now we know some more tall tales, and this one was about Pecos Bill. There's a few movies that have been made about him too.